Baseball, basketball, soccer, football, and volleyball are all sports that have been around for a very long time. Although none of these sports have been along for as long as the great sport of wrestling. Wrestling is a very interesting sport, and to fully understand it, we need to know some things about it. Some of these things include the history, the different styles of wrestling, the terms, rules, and gear used in wrestling, and some interesting facts about wrestling. Wrestling is the oldest sport. It even dates back 15,000 years ago, back then it was used for a type of combat. Closer to when wrestling was used for entertainment and fun was 5,000 years ago, during the Sumerian time. Also, in ancient Egypt, there are hieroglyphics that depict that wrestling. I got these facts from the United World Wrestling website. After that time, during the Olympic time, in the Greek era, wrestling was one of the first sports in the Olympics. The first form of current wrestling was in the 1930s in France. It was declared as the first actual modern-day wrestling. There are lots of different styles of wrestling. There's folk style, which is the style that started in the U.S., and it's basically the only place it's actually wrestled at is the U.S. Then there's freestyle, which is the style that most people wrestle around the world. It's also one of the styles in the Olympics. And finally, you have Greco-Roman wrestling, which is another world wrestling style, and it is also in the Olympics, just like freestyle. Wrestling has a lot of different terms, rules, and gear involved in it. Some of the terms include a takedown, which is when you get control of the guy. Then there's reversal, which is when you were in a bad position and then you get on top of the guy and you're in a better position. There's an escape, which is whenever you get off bottom and you're no longer in a bad position. There's back point, which is where you hold your opponent on your back for a certain amount of time. There's a pin, which is whenever you hold someone on their back for 3 to 5 seconds, which is when after that the match is over. Then there's a tech fall, and tech falls can vary between each style. In freestyle and Greco, it's 10 points, but then in folk style, it's 15 points. And after one person is beating the other guy by that many points, the match is over. There are also a lot of rules in wrestling. In folk style, you get 2 points for a takedown, you get 2 points for a reversal, you get 1 point for an escape, you can get 2 to 3 points for back points, depending on how long you hold them on their back. In freestyle, there's no escapes, and then a takedown is 2, a reversal is 1 point instead of 2 points in folk style. Then in freestyle, there's a lot of it is about exposure. So if you get the guy just turned onto his back real quick and it's only there for like a second, he still gets 2 for that. And they still have the pins and the tech falls. In Greco-Roman style, there's a lot of stuff to do with back exposure as well, just like in freestyle. But an important thing about Greco is that you cannot use legs. You cannot grab legs, you cannot hook legs. And there's also no escapes, just like in freestyle. And there are also throws. Using throws, you can get 3 to 4 points with the new rules. If you go from feet to back, which is when you toss them over your back and they land on the ground first, that's 4 to 5 points. But if you just lift them up and they land on their back, that's 3 points. There's also a lot of gear involved in wrestling. You have the shoes, which can vary depending on what kind of shoes you get. You have singlets, which in freestyle and Greco, it's blue or red, but in folk style, it doesn't matter because they have any kind of singlets. Then you have wrestling mats. Wrestling mats are a big circle, then a smaller circle inside, and if you step out of this circle, then you're out of bounds. Then you have to go back to the middle. These green and red lines here, that's where the wrestlers start. Then there's headgear. Headgear is not used in either freestyle or Greco. It's basically like a helmet for your ears so that your ears don't get all banged up. There's also a lot of interesting people and facts that have wrestled. One interesting fact about wrestling is that it's ranked sixth in boys' participation in high school. That fact I got from the National Wrestling Coaches Association website. Wrestling is also the only sport mentioned in the Bible. This is a quote from the book of Genesis 32:24. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. There's also been a lot of famous people that have wrestled. There's been lots of different presidents that have wrestled. Some of the big ones are Teddy Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Jackson, and George Washington. There's also been quite a few actors that have wrestled. Some of them include Robin Williams, Tom Cruise, and Mr. T. In conclusion, by knowing about the history, the different styles, the terms, and gear used in the different styles, and some of the interesting facts about wrestling, we can understand that wrestling is the oldest sport in the world. Wrestling is a sport far older than any other sport, such as baseball, basketball, soccer, football, or volleyball. Wrestling has been around for thousands of years, and hopefully it'll be around for thousands more. Thank you. We got Isaac, Aaron, and Evan.